Hey, welcome to Music Reviews, the review show where music.com. Album dear. Rate your music and that shit. Ow! Fuck, I forgot. I've got cramp in my thigh for some reason. That's annoying. Right. Good boy. Right. There was a lot to review, because basically every artist under that fucking sun decided to drop on Monday. But first of all, I did a cheeky little re-review. It's not really that cheeky, it's quite bog standard, but Blare That Ballad of Darren. It's just not very enjoyable. Don't hate it. It's not the worst thing I've ever heard. There's elements to it that I really like, to be honest, but it's just so annoying to listen to, and I never want to listen to it, and never will listen to it again. First off, the vocals suck. They just do. Damon's voice is goofy. It always has been. It never has and never will fit ballads, especially now that it just isn't very good. Avalon and the ballad were just ruined by it. Well, not the ballad. The ballad was terrible in every way. I can overlook that, where it's like not particularly needed, but when it comes to ballads, like you kind of need good vocals, and a lot of these were like pretty ballady, pretty slow, pretty dreary. It just sounds goofy. It just sounds goofy as fuck. St. Charles Square, though, that's where they sort of thrived, because he could just take the piss a bit, and he did with some of the lyricism. Tesco Disco. There's a line from the song. Wow. By the way, he's 55. Anyway, the album is also just boring and basic a lot of the time, especially in that ballad, The Heights, and Barbaric. Even thinking about the songs make me want to go to bed and sleep. However, there are some positives, as some of the instrumentals are beautiful, especially Goodbye Album, which has a really nice subdued nature to it and just really works, probably just the best song of the album. And Avalon, where like the instrumental, as much as I don't like the vocals like at all, the instrumental is really good. Overall though, it's a bit of a slog, and the vocals do kind of suck, but it has its amazing and beautiful moments, it has its highlights, and the instrumentals, generally, they're pretty good. 6.6 out of 10. Now onto the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my god, there's 13, 14. There's 16. 16 fucking albums. 13 plus the 3 that released on Monday that I'm listening to. And at the bottom is an album that released on Monday that was actually supposed to release 2 years ago. Dr. Luke produced, Kim Petras sung, if you can even call it singing, Problematic. It's a pile of shit. Right, let's start this off by going back to the start of the album, where I first heard the proclamation that I'm not problematic, I'm problematic. I wanted to kill myself. But little did I know, that was nowhere near the worst bit of the album. This album is unbearable abuse to the ears vocally, and instrumentally, it's either awful trap or just boring as hell. Even on a not moral standpoint, why would you work with Dr. Luke with how shit he is? There are no redeemable qualities whatsoever. Apart from that, listening to Born Again didn't make me want to backflip off a mountain, but Open and Problematic, Je t'adore, The Lyricism and All She Wants, Confession, and especially Something About You, they did make me want to kill myself. The vocals on the aforementioned track are what haters of Let's Start Here by Lil Yachty thinks the album did sound like vocally when it didn't. They are awful, and the autotune just makes it 10 times worse, especially considering she's not like the worst singer in the world or anything. Like with Lil Yachty, he's just not a great singer, and the vocal effects, he uses them really well. He makes them sound good. But, yeah, overall, I'm not being biased at all with this. I don't like him as a person, I've said that, she's a piece of shit. I gave Homicide Gang an 8.7. That should be all the proof you need when Benno allegedly touches kids. So that argument's done. Kim really has made 2 of the worst albums I've ever heard in my life. She's talentless. Or she just left her good stuff before she delved into whatever shit she's doing now. Because apparently her really shit's meant to be good. But this isn't. That's what really matters. 0.2 out of 10. Moving on to 30 Seconds to Mars. It's the end of the world, but a beautiful day. I was named after Jared Leto. That makes you want to kill himself about how talentless he is. Anyway, this album was boring instrumentally, or... Oh no, sorry. Anyway, this album was instrumentally either insanely boring, think Midnight Prayer, or insanely garbage. And by garbage, I mean the stuff people who want to ironically listen to like Tech N9ne think is a good song. That's the type of demographic it was made for. Life is Beautiful. Tells you what you need to know. That song, really. So, yeah. Add that to the horrendous vocals and awful mixing, and you have this sort of disaster piece. Songs such as Lost These Days were simply intolerable, and this was pretty tough to listen to. Avalanche wasn't too bad. That was our reward for getting through the album, a listenable closer with a half-decent instrumental, but this album just didn't really do anything right. 0.5 out of 10. Moving on to Leah Kate with Super Over. I'm not even going to pretend that she improved, because no, she didn't. She sucks ass. She sucks absolute ass. She just does. As a musician. The instrumentals, like, I guess they had nice production in some ways, but, like, they were basic as shit. And sometimes they were just plain awful. The lyricism was even worse than it was on the fucking 10 Things I Hate About Your song, and I mean that genuinely, because it was the worst lyricism I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm not even exaggerating, it probably is. You're not even a 7. What a line. Get a ghostwriter, please. You'd make an okay album with a ghostwriter. But, yeah, onto the individual tracks. The Waste is easily the closer Happy because it was basic, boring, and also just lyrically unbearable to listen to. Many songs were the exact same, such as Bored and Lucky. Very few positives to say apart from that Desperate was tolerable and had a solid instrumental. Super Over's instrumental wasn't too bad either, it was just everything else about that song. But yeah, this sucks. It's basic, boring, sometimes laughably terrible, especially lyrically. It's always terrible lyrically. And listening to this, when it's at its worst, is not something to even wish on like fucking Joseph Stalin or Pol Pot or Adolf Hitler. 1 out of 10. Rod Wave and Nostalgia. This one was just a slog. One of them. Rod Wave does the same thing he's done for years, and I'm just sick to death of it. Songs such as Love for a Thug were absolute bores, and I could plug most songs from this album as an example. Others being like Boys Don't Cry and Crazy. But, like, this isn't without its highlights. Backlit is a banger, and I honestly hope he does more introspective cuts with beats like the one in 2018 on future releases. Make a whole album of songs like 2018, it'll actually be pretty good, because that song was amazing. Sadie G made that song so goddamn good. The opener was really good as well. And yeah, well, like that, honestly, you'd get a good album. I see potential in this guy. He just has a terrible beat selection. He's got the voice. He's got some talent. He just doesn't use it to any more than just boring melodic trap, and it's kind of sad, to be honest. 3.1 out of 10. And now for Sleepy Hollow, Boy Meets World, which is soulless and passionless and nothing. The rapping has no charisma, although that was to be expected, that's his style, but still sucks. The instrumentals are soulless and boring, and overall this album's just grossly uninteresting. Apart from Perky Man, which was interesting for all the wrong reasons. We're friends with a Perky Man. I'm friends with a Perky Man. I get that it was made as a joke, and with that context, it's not terrible. Honestly, with it being a joke, it's actually kind of fun to listen to, I'm not even going to lie. But, like, if we're looking at it through a genuine scale, it's not a very good song. Others like the close of Purple Heart and just awful bores, but this album isn't the most offensive thing musically to ever exist, because aside from it being boring, there's nothing, like, that I would pluck out as being unlistenable or anything. And there are bangers. I'd be lying if I said I didn't like the song Anxiety. It had a really nice Doechii feature and Sleepy Hollow Slate, and despite its simplicity at its core, I think it works very well. But songs that work very well were very few and far between, and sometimes this album was laughably bad. It was intentional, but, like, yeah, still bad. 3.3 out of 10. Bad. And what else is bad? This Diddy album, the Love album, Off the Grid, which is a whole bunch of nothing. Is Diddy a rapper or a producer? I'm going to have to Google this. Because on half of the songs, it did not fit. He's a rapper. I mean, he's a record producer as well, but like, I'd expect to hear him on his own album because like this album, it was just it was basically a DJ Khaled album. There's no DJ Khaled apart from him screaming his stupid fucking ad libs. He didn't even have that. It was just a bunch of features doing their shit. He doesn't turn up on certain songs pretty much, and there's nothing special or interesting about anything here at all. It's so boring, just a slog. But there are some tolerable tracks on the odd nice track. As much as Intermission's an intermission, it's probably the best song of the album. It's 2 minutes long enough for me to count it as a song, and like it's still beautiful, it's still fire. I don't give a fuck. But nasty interlude. The interludes were very inconsistent. That one made me want to kill myself. It's so like unintentionally like off-putting and very unsexy that like it just made me want to jump off a cliff. Let's do it for a few other songs, performances, and all that type of shit. Especially Babyface on Kim Porter, that was unlistenable. Not Babyface Rage, just Babyface. Don't get the two mixed up. Even though they're both shit. But yeah, overall, the album's lazy, sluggish, and boring as fuck. It sucks, and it's a 3.3 as well, out of 10. Next up, Vic Mensa's Victor. No one listened to this, and they didn't miss much. The album had, Jesus, some okay production and solid beats here and there, and there were some bangers such as Swear. Southside Story is also a genuinely great song. Common carries it though. But this album cannot seem to escape from Vic Mensa himself. For example, his singing towards the back end of the album in songs such as 14 Days made the songs unbearable to listen to as it sucks. Amongst this, his rapping and bars feel really disingenuous sometimes. He's talking about being progressive and trying to be sinless, while also talking about his daughters in a not negative light sometimes. And allowing an anti-Semite to spew more of his bullshit on the song The Weeping Poets, while also sampling Louis Farrakhan, the leader of Jay Electronica's bullshit little group that just spread a lot of bullshit everywhere. They're fucking disgusting, racist, a lot of them. And yeah, the ideas for flows were really misjudged, as was the sampling of what I just said. It's also twice on the Jay Electronica song was really fucked up. Just terrible. And after all that, the music wasn't even good. It was fucking awful, and I'm probably never going to listen to Vic Mensa again. I don't care if he drops. 3.8 out of 10. Summers, what we didn't have. It's another midweek drop. And he's back to Plug Music. Thank God, it's the only thing he can do semi-well. The beats were solid but a little dry and lifeless. Summers was not great, but it wasn't unbearable, and the 2-pack's very rarely disappointed. Summers, he just isn't very good. Especially performance-wise. Performance-wise, he's awful. Just in every department, he sucks. But he knows a good beat when he sees one. Songs such as Top Off / House Arrest were firing both beats, and the songs in general like that were great and propelled the album from being like a 4. But there was a lot of poor performances from Summers. Most of them were alright, or decent. They were fine. Especially in like The Healing though. That's where they were awful. Summers honestly will never have a perfect performance. There's always something wrong with his performances, something annoying, something dumb, there's a stupid lyric here and there. There's always just something that I really don't like about Summers on everything he's ever done that I've heard. He's not for me at all, but this was fine. It was listenable. It was a step up from his previous 2 weeks. 5.7 out of 10. Willie Nelson, Bluegrass. I know, it's a covers album, but I didn't know it at the time, so we'll listen to it anyway. But yeah, I don't like covers albums. Make your own fucking song. That's why I'm not listening to the Soccer Mummy this week. I might as well just mention that. That's a covers album as far as I know. It definitely has a cover in it. I definitely know. But, wouldn't have listened if I knew about that, but I don't listen to any folk, any country, anything like that, so whoop-de-doo, I guess. But what I will say, though, is being objected to my thought instead of shit on it because of this opinion, that wasn't too bad. The instrumentals were cool and all, but insanely repetitive, and the vocals were better than I thought they'd be, and they were pretty good too. But it's incredibly repetitive, and the covers are lifeless. No Love Around sounds absolutely nothing, and devoid of anything interesting. Somebody pick up the pieces though. That cover was really cool. But yeah, lifeless and boring, as all covers albums are. But like, it's not unlistenable at any stage. 5.9 out of 10. Moving on to the National, the final midweek drop with a laugh track. Honestly, I will defend First Two Pages of Frankenstein. That had some beautiful songs, but this, it's really boring. This one actually is boring. Not the other one's not too bad. This is the boring one. The crescendo on Space Invaders is nice, and the title track, which features Phoebe Bridgers, is beautiful. Sure, fair enough, I agree. But that and two, maybe three other tracks aside, it was just okay, this album. Tour Manager was hardly terrible or anything, but my god, was it a slog to end all slogs. And a lot of songs felt like that. Always been the National sound. I get that. I do get that. But it's just been done better, and there's no charm here at all. There's also some experiments that I didn't think worked. Smoke Detector has an amazing instrumental. Yeah, sure, I agree, but the National's performance was horrendous. I could say that about a fair few tracks, that they just couldn't escape the National himself. Don't like his singing style, just as a preference thing. Him and people who sing like him, I just don't like their style. I like vocals that are smooth and cool and nice. Not that type of shit. That type of shit just sounds annoying. And insanely great into the ears. Most of the time, there's exceptions. People do it well. But, like, the National didn't do it well here. Especially on, like, Cover Hook. It was also too skeletal, that one, as well. But, yeah, overall, it was solid, but didn't have the highlights its predecessor did. And it was boring pretty much front to back, aside from a few moments and 3 or 4, maybe 5 tracks. Not a bad project, but I never really want to hear it again. 6.1 out of 10. Next up is The Pretenders with Relentless. It was good, but nothing to say about it. The production is fine, the vocals are okay, the instrumentals are decent, but nothing special. And songs such as Losing My Sense of Taste showcase the best of the instrumentals, but like even then, they were still just like decent. And there were so many bores like Look Away and The Copa. And then the final track, I Think About You Daily, has some weird ambient feeling to it, and also has Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead in the mix. That one, it was so left field and random compared to the rest of the album that it felt like it was sort of like forced in for the sake of it, but like, thank God, because it was so much better than the rest of the fucking album. Nice surprise, I'll take it, but yeah. This album's mid and an incredible Johnny Greenwood track, basically. 6.1 out of 10. Moving on to Madison Beer's Sounds Between Songs. Ironically, not even that much sounds between songs, but anyway, that aside, it was a solid project. The instrumentals had a nice atmosphere to them, why did I say atmosphere like that, and was solid, albeit that they were usually insanely basic, and there were some boring piano mods too, sadly. The vocals were nice from front to back, but lyrically, it was pretty mid. The line, "You always tell me the truth even when you lie," I think is meant to have some like deep, poetic meaning to this, but it's just dumb. It's really dumb. Anyway, moving on to individual tracks, there were some beautiful songs, such as the unique, weird, and probably best song of the album in my eyes, Envy the Leaves, and the end of the closer, King of Everything, was just perfect, even if the rest of the song wasn't that impressive, and it worked really well as a closer. In contrast though, At Your Waist is very boring. Opener Spinning is also just annoying. It's boring too, that one, yeah. But overall, it was a decent project. I had some highlights and great vocals, but like overall, it was pretty basic. 6.6 out of 10. Now we're on to the good ones. At long last, 19 minutes later, Nas's Magic 3 is the first one. And yeah, we're at the end of the Nas and Hit Boy timeline. And honestly, I don't think Nas has that many albums left. But honestly, I can only see 1 or 2 more albums before he retires. I think he'll be involved in like the culture till the day he dies. But like as a rapper, I don't think he has much left. And these two ends their sort of partnership not on a high. Well, like, it's not a whimper either. Hit Boy kills it on the production, as always, with great beats from front to back. Think of both parts of Based on True Events, the opener Fever, and closer 1-800 Nas and Hit. The beats are incredible. Nas kills it with his voice and doesn't mess up a single flow. As usual, as per, yeah, cool. But with the pen, he was pretty off the pace. And it wasn't like Magic 2, where it lasted a bar or two. It lasted for whole tracks this time. And there were still the tracks which had annoying bars every so often. This album, it just was lyrically pretty bog standard. And it prevented it from being like a decent 8. Blue Bentley was there. Sadly, it's lyrically hard to listen to, as was Pretty Young Thing, as much as the beat was really good. And TSK sticks out like a sore thumb to me too, sadly. Overall, this is a great farewell to the partnership with great beats and great rapping. But not every beat is amazing. There are some dud beats, I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to say that there aren't any, because there are. And the pen game here, it just wasn't very good and prevented this album from being A grade and probably the best in the trilogy. Magic 2 will always be my favourite in the trilogy, and yeah, the song confirms it. Still great though, 7.7 out of 10. And technically, I should have done this before the Nas album, because it's grown off me, but City Morgue, My Bloody America is next. A lot of what people hate is kind of what I love about this album, bizarrely, and that is Sauce Moolah. This album has 5 beats as usual, although there are some boring ones. Zilla Carney does his thing also as usual, but a lot of people don't like how Sauce Moolah was. I disagree. His weird, menacing delivery and flows I found to be really enjoyable and fun to listen to, and taught the soul of the group, and the aggressive nature of their music. Makes sense for one to go a bit insane. Anything. Anyway, now on to individual tracks. Haka Waka was the best song. That was one of the best beats of the year, and it's just a mega banger, to quote NFR. As is, say, funny. There are duds though, especially Locksmith, which was insanely run-of-the-mill and boring, especially by City Morgue norms. Sauna is another one where the beat just didn't hit. But overall, I've always liked City Morgue sound, I always will. They bring something cool that most artists don't, so it doesn't get repetitive and redundant, because like they're the only ones doing it that gain any traction. And they also do it really well. Banger after banger here, great performance after great performance, and it's such an energetic album. It's really fun. Fire album. It's worse than Magic 3, but whatever. 7.5 out of 10. Next up is Ransom, Spare the Rod, Spoil the Child. I've avoided Ransom like the plague for no reason, other than to limit the amount of album listens to do. I listen to a lot, so it's nice to just not listen to some of them that I don't really fancy, and I'm not hugely bothered about. But honestly, I just thought, you know what, screw it, I'll listen to this one. If I like it, I'll probably continue listening to them. And I liked it, so I probably will continue listening to them. This EP has solid rapping, fun writing, and solid beats. It's just great rapping, great beats, fun writing, really. Opener, The Powers That Be, doesn't have a very good beat, I'll be honest. But Ransom does well with his writing and rapping, and makes the song decent from that alone. New Testament Man was amazing, however, with a much better beat than the previous song, and all the qualities that song had remained. Scapegoats may not be unique, but it does everything right. The pen game's fire, the beat's fire, and Shane Orr puts a great performance into the background that steals the show. Special song. The Desolate One is a great follow-up that has a pretty great beat, and the closer Hymns is the same. However, in the two songs, the beats and everything else weren't like amazing. But this EP overall, it's pretty damn great. The beats are great throughout, the rapping's great throughout, and the pen game's very entertaining. However, it's not that unique. But if you do the basics right, you're still going to be better than most music. Because most music, it just does the basics very wrong. This, it didn't. 8 out of 10. And at the top, it is, of course, Mitski. The Land is inhospitable, and so are we. And I'm not being biased. Mitski is one of my favourite artists of all time, so fair enough if you want to make that argument. But come on, have you heard this album? It's her best yet. That's coming from me. What an album. The instrumentals are godlike, especially on Star, and I Love Me After You. The latter of which probably being the former of which probably being the best song there, because oh my god, it's such a stunner. It's so beautiful, and it's honestly one of my favourite tracks of all time already. I love it so bloody much. It's been out for months, so I feel like I'm safe making that statement. I've had the song for a while to debate this, so yeah. Well, Memories Now. What a song, by the way. What an instrumental. Just want to say that as well. Vocally, she's amazing as usual, especially on Star and I Don't Like My Mind, and her new ways of production finally works for a whole album. The way she mixed her vocals and her reverb on Bug Like an Angel wouldn't have worked on Laurel Hell. It clearly didn't. That's why the album is pretty much her worst according to everyone. Probably, maybe me. I'm not sure. I'll have to re-listen to her Discog. But over the acoustic guitars is perfect. And what an album opener, by the way, Book Like an Angel is. And yeah, I can't fathom how someone makes an album this beautiful. Blows my mind. Even the weaker cuts like Buffalo Replaced are straight up not weak. Again, going back to Buffalo Replaced, like the synths, the instrumental, it's just such a cool song. But I'm just gonna go a bit longer on that second half of I Love Me After You because it's such a good way to end the album. It's quite an unusual way after the sadness of each topic and the predecessor, I'm Your Man, probably being the saddest song there, to go into a really optimistic song that's about self-love. It just feels random. Like, after all of that, you're still going to love yourself, which I think is actually a really good message if you think about it that way. But, like, it's such a masterpiece of a song on its own. Did you hear the second half? I float every time I listen to it. It's so good. She's back to the heights of Makeout Creek. And honestly, this album probably is very close to topping it. I don't know whether it will, because Makeout Creek's probably one of my favourite albums of all time. But this, it's up there too. And it's a 10. Foo Fighters, by the way, I'm being really harsh and picky because I'm a prick and I've given it like a 9.9. It's probably more of a 9.8 really, but still. But Mitski, definite 10. I've listened to it so many times. It's a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 artists I'm going to listen to. I think that's 11 albums, 3 EPs. Kind of annoyed. I wanted to do some re-listens this week, but like I can't really fit them in now. I'll do 1 or 2 though. I will do 1 or 2. Let's start off with the big one, Doja Cat. Everyone's favourite artist. Yeah, everyone loves her, trust me. With Scarlet. No features, and a song called Wet Vagina. Woo! 17 songs, 57 minutes long. It's going to be a 6. The demonic stuff is a bit forced though, let's be honest. Lil Tecca with his comeback album, Tech, featuring Kodak Black and Ken Carson. 16 songs, 38 minutes long. It's going to be a 6 as well. Earth Gang, probably my most anticipated EP of the year. I don't really look forward to EPs that much because they're EPs, but like, I do really want to hear what sort of route they'll go down with the songs here. It's a collab EP with Spillage Village, and it has a Benji feature on the final song. 5 songs, 17 minutes long. Honestly, I'm predicting an 8. Bakar, who, according to my sources, was meant to release like 2 weeks ago and also a month ago, has finally released Halo, which features Summer Walker. 11 songs, 34 minutes. I'm going to guess it's going to be a 7. Hell and Back, obviously, his sort of famous song. He's a TikTok artist, I guess. But I guess I'll find out if he's any good. Mike, Wiki and The Alchemist with the new album, Faith is a Rock. And obviously, every single time you get New Alchemist, I don't care who, whatever rapper I've never heard of is in it. This time it's Wiki, because who the fuck is Wiki? I'm going to be excited, because The Alchemist is probably my favourite producer of all time. 10 songs, 31 minutes long. Cannot wait for this one. I'm going to be bold and predict an 8, but I won't be surprised if it's a 7. And now for one I'm really not looking forward to. Heady One and K-Trap. Honestly, everything I've heard from pretty much both artists I've not really liked. So them doing a collab album, strength to strength, is not something I have much hope for. I'm predicting a 3. Next up is Jev with Loner World Volume 1, which is an EP. I don't know whether this will there'll be like a Volume 2 and they'll just like make an album or something. But like, this is the Volume 1 EP. Bailey Daniel is on this album. 6 songs, 15 minutes long. Jev, one of those underground artists that a certain area of TikTok loves. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, honestly. I'm not listening to it yet. I'm predicting a 7. Steven Sanchez, who made the Until I Found You song. I would never fall in love. Kind of the new indie artist of the year. Lorfi isn't really indie. Although she is on this album. So there's that. 13 songs, 39 minutes long. I hope this turns out good. because I'd like to see this guy do well. Because Until I Found You is like a genuinely really good song. Lofi only gives me more optimism. Won't be surprised if it's a 6 or something, but I'm predicting a 7. I do hope it's good, because like this guy, he could be like the biggest artist in a sort of scene. I mean, he kind of already is, but he could be there for like years to come. Next up, we've got Nelly with Rhythm Blend, 5 songs, 16 minutes, 4, 3, I don't know. I've already listened to Yule's Soft Scars, but I predicted a 9 beforehand, because everyone seems to love her. Did it reach a 9? Well, you'll find out next week. Kylie Minogue with Tension. I don't know when the actual album stops and the deluxe starts, because only the deluxe is on Spotify, which is really annoying, because I'm not listening to the bloody deluxe, so I can't be bothered with that. But I'll figure it out, and I'm predicting the actual album to be a 5. Because I'm expecting to hate it, because from what I've heard, Padam Padam sucks. And but like everyone's saying it's good, so I'm just hoping it's got somewhat strengths, if you know what I mean. Next up, we've got Cannibal Corpse with Chaos Horrific, straight after Kylie Minogue on my list. 10 songs, 39 minutes, it's going to be a 7. Zach Bryan with Boys of Faith, his new EP after his debut, featuring Noah Kahan and Bon Iver. Actually pretty excited for this one. I'm honestly predicting an 8 for this one. 5 songs, 60 minutes long. This could be a great EP. There's a lot of fucking EPs. I'll probably just do a day where I only listen to EPs. Shut the fuck up. Duncan Lawrence as well. The guy who made Arcade, and that's all he's known for, has released his new album, Skyboy. 11 songs, 34 minutes long. 5. I defo went on for too long. 32 minutes for just that. Yeah. I made this too long. But whatever. That's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. I'm gonna go listen to my shit, and yeah, see you next week.